Dennis Schröder just led Germany to Eurobasket gold and won the MVP of the tournament in the process. This is just another accolade to add to his uber impressive international resume. And now, after this victory, there's a lot of people asking, should Dennis Schroeder be a Hall of Famer? And my answer to that question is a resounding yes. First of all, let's talk about his NBA career. And this is where a lot of the debate really lies, because when it comes to international basketball, there are a few players better than Dennis Schroeder. But when it comes to the NBA, his role has never been too big. At best, he was the third option with the Lakers back when it was him, AD, and LeBron. Before Austin Reeves, before D'Lo, before Russell Westbrook, he was the number 3 option. And before that, he almost won Sixth Man of the Year on a great OKC squad. But he's never been an all-star and has been a very solid role player, but nothing much more. However, I don't think that's something that should be criticized. I think it's something that should be appreciated because Dennis Schroeder, he has career averages of 14, 3, and 5. Now, those numbers don't jump off the page at you, but those are very, very solid. And he's been in the league since 2013. He's been in the league for 12 years. Today is actually his birthday. He is 32 years old. So come the end of his career, he could very well be in the NBA for 15, 16 years. Because I think he could play till he's 35, 36. If that's the case, that's a very long NBA career to have. And he has carved out a very nice niche for himself as a very solid, very dependable role player. Because everywhere he goes, Dennis Schroeder finds a way to be impactful. And when you're the number 1 option, when you're the guy, all the eyes are on you. The spotlight is on you. The magnifying glass is on you. Every mistake you make is magnified, but every success you have is magnified as well. But in a shooter, he can go under the radar. He can be your backup point guard and find a way to be impactful. No matter how big the spotlight is, he finds a way. And the two things Dennis Schroeder brings most to the table are his playmaking and his defense. As a passer, I think Dennis Schroeder is a very, very underrated passer. And that's something that has really developed for him over time. Because early on in his career, he was an Atlanta Hawk. And over there, he got a little bit of a reputation for looking for his shot first and his teammates second. And then he went to OKC, he was in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. And that was a time where he also was not asked to pass very much. But ever since then, he's been a very, very good passer from the Lakers to the Celtics to the Houston Rockets. And has always been a solid playmaker, always looking for his teammates ever since. And then, of course, I think his bread and butter is his defense. And Dennis Schroeder is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated perimeter defenders in the entire association. Because when you talk about the best perimeter defenders in the modern NBA, you're going to think of Jrue Holiday, Marcus Smart, Jaden McDaniels, those kinds of guys. But just below that tier of perimeter defenders, I think Dennis Schroeder belongs there. Because especially at his stature, at 6'1", it's not easy for him to be a high impact defender. He doesn't have the wingspan of other guys. And yet he still finds a way to be impactful. He hustles like no other on the defensive end, and especially this is notable for his full court presses. Because you watch any Dennis Schroeder game, and there's a good chance that at some point it's going to break down. He's going to go into a full court press. And with that, that is a great show of his endurance, and it sets the tone for the entire defense. On one hand, with his endurance, those full court presses, they often come pretty late in the game. And yet he's still got the stamina to pull through, to stay attached to his guy, and then it sets the tone because of that attachment. Because immediately, as a point guard, you don't have time to get into the rhythm. You don't have time to bring the ball up the court, establish a rhythm, establish the tone. No, you don't have time to do that because you got a man on you. You've got Dennis Schroeder on you immediately as soon as you inbound the ball. And it can kind of just throw your whole offense out of rhythm, throw it into disarray. And Dennis Schroeder, he is a major, major benefactor of that full court press. He uses it a lot, and it works out quite a bit for him. And so in many ways, I think the eye test does him a lot of justice when it comes to his defense. Because defense isn't just all about stats. And of course, there's going to be guys like Wemby who are incredible defenders, and that shows up in the box score. Dennis Schroeder, it shows up in the box score a little bit less, but his impact is all the same. He is one of the best perimeter defenders in the modern NBA. And I don't think that gets talked about enough. Especially as a role player, he's not tasked with being the lead offensive guy. He's not tasked with being the offensive engine, but instead, he focuses a lot of his efforts on the defensive side of the court, and he is very, very impactful there. And to look to a specific example, I think back to the squad that he was on back in Oklahoma City. It was him, Chris Paul, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And over there, they ran a great three-point guard lineup. And that's very, very difficult to do. Because when you've got three-point guards, that can often be a defensive liability. Because so often point guards, they're tasked with being the lead guy in offense, the offensive hub, and so they focus so much of their energy there that they become a little bit of a liability defensively. Some guys that's more noticeable, some guys less. But regardless, to have three guys out there, that's a monumental task to maintain your defense. But that's precisely what they did. When they had Shai, when they had Dennis Schröder, and when they had Chris Paul, they looked like an elite defense because of the way that CP3 and Dennis Schröder and SGA could all hound guys. In spite of Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder's size, they still found a way to be impactful defenders. In that lineup, in spite of having three-point guards, was still very impactful defensively because of the prowess of all three of those guys. And I think that's a testament to Dennis Schroeder's defensive ability. So that's his NBA career. A solid role player, great perimeter defender, but doesn't quite have the accolades in his trophy case. But then we get to his international career, and here's where the accolades start coming in. In 2022, he made the Eurobasket team of the tournament. In 2023, he led Germany to become FIBA World Cup champions, and he was the World Cup MVP. In 2024, he made the Olympics All-Star 5 team, meaning that he was part of the team of the tournament. 5 best players in the 2024 Olympics. Dennis Schroeder was on there. And that's the competition, you had all the talent over on Team USA, all of these international guys. Dennis Schroeder was standing among them. And then 2025, Eurobasket MVP, Eurobasket Gold, that just happened. And that's what's really sparking these Hall of Fame conversations. When it comes to international players in the last decade, there are not many better than Dennis Schröder. He has been a national team mainstay since 2016, and especially in recent years, he has been incredible for them. He has stood among the best players in the world. Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, these guys, Dennis Schroeder is among them as some of the best in the world when it comes to international play. When it comes to playing for Germany, Dennis Schroeder has a trophy case a mile wide. And his impact both on and off the court is even greater. You see, Germany, they have a little bit of a culture, a bond about them. More than a team, this is a brotherhood, really. And you can see that with their interactions as well as the way that they play on the court. And Dennis Schroeder, he has been a vocal leader for them. He has been the head of this brotherhood. Being a part of the national team since 2016, there has, of course, been someone that has come in as of late in Franz Wagner, who you could say is maybe more talented, more skilled than Dennis Schroeder. But he has been the leader of the squad, and especially in the clutch. His teammates seem to trust him, and he trusts his teammates. So his teammates, they open the doors for Dennis Schroeder, and with that, Schroeder is a great playmaker. Because trust when it comes to basketball has to go both ways. Because his teammates trust him, they trust him to have the ball. They don't call for the ball. They know that Dennis Schroeder, when he's on, he can be great. And Dennis Schroeder, because he trusts his teammates, that opens up the door for him to pass to them, to get assists, because he trusts his teammates to make a play. So that all comes full circle. And we saw that in the World Cup back in 2023 when they won gold, when it became the MVP. He hit a game winner over Serbia in the finals. And then in the Eurobasket finals, he wasn't great the first 3 quarters of this game. But in those final couple minutes, when they needed a bucket, when they needed Dennis Schroeder to show up most, that's precisely what he did. And so when it comes to on the court, his teammates really, really trust him. But off the court, I think there's a good brotherhood there. You see it in their interactions. You see the way that he is an absolute leader for this squad. And it wasn't long ago that Germany, they were a little bit of a mediocre squad. But Schroeder has been a major, major factor in their transition, going from a mediocre squad to the best team in Europe. When you talk about off the court, these guys love playing together in the summer and representing their squad. There's a level of pride there, and Dennis Schroeder is the head of that. He is their leader. He is so huge for Germany basketball culture right now. And Franz Wagner might be the most technically gifted there. But when it comes to a good leader, Dennis Schroeder is the guy over in Germany for basketball. And so when you combine a solid NBA role player with a potential 12-year NBA career, with the potential for that to be a 15, 16-year career, as well as his elite international play among the best in the world, as the head of a Germany team that has been so impressive, the best in Europe, I think Dennis Schroeder, beyond a shadow of a doubt, should be a Hall of Famer. because it's not just the NBA Hall of Fame, it is the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And when it comes to basketball accomplishments, especially in recent years, there is nobody better, almost nobody better than Dennis Schröder. For the amount of tournaments he has showed up in, the amount of tournaments that he has won, Dennis Schroder is a Hall of Famer.